important is how to turn around and how to come back strong. And I feel this team has done it plenty of times. Right from the last World Cup that we played, it's something that the team has shown. This character of coming back after you can say a bad defeat, but that's what it is all about. Often people talk about spinning wicket as not sporting wicket. It's only the seaming wicket that are sporting. Maybe what hits in the head is only a sporting wicket. But to pinpoint the reason, it can happen. We have seen, though we have won a lot of test matches, but there were quite a few good innings that were scored. Two bats were really scoring big because of which the opposition were put under pressure. So you have to, the error part. You can commit an error and just get out very soon. So you have to be careful. You have to adapt. But I felt, this day was more about adaptability and,
last two questions in English before we take last two questions in Hindi. I will not take any more questions in English. Chetan and Jaspreet.
It's difficult to get a benchmark when it comes to India. The only benchmark is again trying to call back to 5 years. We 26. Yes, it has big outfield, the ball was coming, but if you have some kind of a partnership going, what you can do is you can push in the middle, you can look for tools, and you can hit a big shot. But you know, if you keep losing wickets, it becomes more and more difficult to rotate these wicket like this. So I felt it was a partnership with them.
Last question in English.
Well, again, if you see, we didn't put a single over. What also you have to see is what kind of a batsman is batting. Like, if you compare the two innings, when we had overs on the left arm, left-handed batting at that point of time. So that makes it slightly difficult for the captain. You want to use the away-going spinner, and I feel, with Hardik being there, if the need arises of, if you need a seamer, you can obviously use him. If you need a spinner, you already have somebody like a Suresh Raina or a Yuvraj Singh, and you didn't bowl a single over because I felt he was not needed, or maybe the situation didn't permit me to use him, with two left-handers batting at that point of time. In fact, there was a situation in the middle where I said, maybe I won't use Jadeja's 2 over also, because with Anderson batting with the other left-hander, he was looking for the big shots. I said maybe fast bowler is the better option at that point.
Last two questions in Hindi. Apart from Sunanda, anyone wants to answer questions? I'll start with
डेफिनेटली अच्छा रहेगा, क्योंकि मैंने हमेशा से ये बात बोली है कि किसी भी चीज़ को फॉर ग्रांटेड लेना काफ़ी डिफिकल्ट हो जाता है, एंड इट्स गुड फॉर एवरीबडी, इट्स गुड फॉर द फैन, इट्स गुड फॉर द इंडियन क्रिकेट टीम, क्योंकि हम भी रियलाइज करेंगे कि हमें किस तरीके से बैटिंग करनी होगी, क्योंकि विकेट्स हर जगह डिफरेंट हो गए। अभी हम कोलकाता जाएंगे तो वहाँ का विकेट थोड़ा डिफरेंट होगा, उसके बाद जहाँ भी खेलेंगे वहाँ का विकेट, सो यू हैव टू असेस, यू हैव टू अडैप्ट, एंड हाउ क्विकली यू रीड द विकेट, वही सारी चीज़ें